So as we do, perfect. So as we do, we go into recording mode. So guys, I trust that this is going to be an interesting journey, especially for those of you that have come on board for this particular session. What I'd like to do is just do a quick recap on module 1 in the terms of lead generation. Is there anything that you may have picked up since we've last spoken, as well as module 2 in terms of running numbers? So I would just like to either you share a nugget or you share a pain point, and we unpack a pain point so that we can get into today's conversation that is in and around negotiations and networking. Cool. Kile, while you are unmuted, we will start off with you.
So we start off by as module 1.
So module 1, in terms of going to view property, that particular process, is there something that you still have that is a little bit of a nagging thing?
Oh, no, I don't
No?
have.
And running numbers, is there anything that's still of a bit of a nagging thing?
No.
Okay.
No,
Is there any nuggets from those 2 modules that you still remember today that you'd like to share with the group?
No, I don't have any, but I'd like to share when you showed us is how to view the properties on property 21, like from the lower prices to the higher prices. Yes, that was a eye opener for me.
Awesome stuff.
Yes.
Cool. So using the filter, showing low to high, definitely
that.
worked for you.
Yes.
Cool stuff. Renee, we'll come to you last. We'll go on with Vivek. Vivek, I know that you're still new within the content. I'm not too sure whether you've gotten a chance to go and view any properties as yet, again, after our conversation. But I just want to double check in module 1 where we were finding property and module 2 where we were running numbers. Is there anything that you still think like, let's discuss it? Like you need clarification or something like that?
For now, not really. I've tried to do a few of the calculation on my own. So yeah, for now I don't have any particular question. And to your question, yeah, I have not gone and view any property yet. Yeah.
Okay. No problem at all. Yeah. In terms of what you've learned so far, what is the one thing that you'd like to share with the group that has stood out for you?
So now when I'm driving, I'm more looking around, look at those boards for sales or to let. So now my eyes are more open and I see like, even in the area that I am in, Northcliffe, so there's a lot of properties that I see are for sales also. Yeah. Awesome. And I almost hit the side road one day when looking.
Oh my days. Yeah, you are focused on your property journey.
Yeah.
Cool stuff. Kiamo, when you disconnected now, we're just really looking back at module 1 and module 2. In terms of, is there anything that's still a bit of a frustration point in those modules that you'd like to discuss this evening? Okay. So it looks like Kiamo's connection is giving her a lot of beans this evening. Renee, maybe you'd like to answer while Kiamo is sorting out her connectivity.
Sorry, quickly. Is
no
my
problem
mute
at
off
all.
now? There we go.
Yeah, you are. We can hear you.
So, with regards to module 1 and 2, I think I'm set. I had my own Excel sheet that I was using that I made myself, but I've now moved over to your one because it's much neater and much nicer, set up much better than mine. but I've moved a couple of things of mine over to your one, just to make it more mine. So I've been using it not just to do deals where that I know I would, put an offer in for. I just randomly, if I see a place that I like or whatever, I put the numbers in, and if it gives me a negative, I move on. So the page is, or the Excel sheet is very versatile like that for me, because I use it for anything. Just, I just say, oh, let me see if I put the numbers in on this one, what it throws back at me. And then if it gives me a positive, or a good ROI, I think, okay, let me go in for this one. If it gives me a negative, well, I move on. So yeah, I use that all the time. On the negotiations, I think when I read your PDF, because once I went through the module, I also read your PDF, went through that, and your introduction is what stood out for me, because you explained, or you described me to the T. How you described yourself, that is totally me. That's so me. I would be too shy or too embarrassed, not shy. I'd be too embarrassed to put in an offer that, because I think I wouldn't accept something like that. And then, or if I would put in a cheeky offer and the agent would say, no, but this is always their response. No, but the seller won't go for less than this. Now, in your heart, you're telling yourself, give them what they want. Give it to them. Just give it. It's still less than what they're asking. Then I'd be like, okay, I'll come up with the 10,000. Then he'll be like, no, she wants this. So I think that is my problem, where I need to be more firm and say, this is what I'm offering. I'm prepared to walk away. I'm not there yet. I noticed that in myself. I know that I should get rid of the feelings, the feelings behind the whole making the deal and the negotiating the deal. So when you wrote your introduction, I that was for me, totally. That was me.
Oh wow. Oh, that is actually really interesting. So Renee's just opened module 3, which is what we're going to be discussing this evening, all around negotiations. And I think negotiations is the bigger part than networking in the space that we're currently in. So we can also do again a round robin. And so the introduction to today's session, Renee's broke the ice nicely with it. Did you guys get a chance to read the PDF? And what did you think of in terms of the content? So now, Renee, we've established this is the way you feel. How do you think you should start remedying how you feel where you are now?
I have no idea. I have to think about this now. So I have to think, okay, so what do I need to do to get rid, to get the feelings out of it, so that we just discuss the numbers that is on the paper. That's it. Yeah, no. I'm going to have to dig deep for that one, because it's going to take me a while, to get into, like, today I speak to this agent, maybe tomorrow to another one. It won't happen overnight. It won't be a once off. I'll have to probably do it more than one time, to cement the getting rid of the feelings, basically.
Gentlemen, do you have, if you were in Renee's shoes, what do you think you could do to help yourself through that process? So Renee's just explained that she just feels embarrassed by giving cheeky offers. She feels a little bit embarrassed to negotiate. What would you do in that situation?
So what would I do in this situation? I also put in offers like below like the price that they want. Like just like recently I've put in an offer for a house. This guy was this guy wanted 1.7 million. Then I came in with the offer of 900. So I
Okay.
believe, yeah. So yes, I don't believe in like maybe maybe this offer is too embarrassing or like that. No, no. I just believe if you think the numbers are right, then take this offer, go for this offer. You know. Then if the seller says no, just move on, get a better property, negotiate it, negotiate it to a better price. Same thing as that one. If the seller says no, if this price is too low, then that you just move on.
That's the
With
age
you.
thing coming in there again, Jen.
Yes.
You see, it's again these youngsters, these millennials, they get away with
Eh,
everything.
What's wrong? Nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. But I mean, at the end of the day,
Nothing
that's
wrong. You guys
mm,
are very confident. The younger generation, very confident.
No, yo, me too. I'm very scared. I'm very shy. I'm very, very shy. I'm just trying to break the boundary like of being shy and being like, yo, let me like relax a bit. Let me just wait until, So yeah, so I'm just breaking the boundary of being shy and
Good.
is and just pushing for like a better, like better prices and all that, just like that.
mm-hmm,
Yes,
with you. With you.
yes, yes,
So,
yes, with
so
me.
breaking, breaking boundaries. One of the things, Renee, as I'd written in that PDF, my mindset was on, surely I wouldn't accept this. But then when I flipped it around, I actually questioned. But if I was in this desperate situation
Mm,
where my house is not looking well, and there was an offer on the table, what would make me accept that offer?
mm.
So Vivek, what are your thoughts around what do you think could help Renee through this process?
From my side, I think you have to go back to a calculator. If the figures does not make sense, I think you should not go for it or negotiate for it. So let's say if you put an offer of let's say 700, but they are asking for 850, but when you run your figures on your side, you see like 850 won't give you a good ROI. So let the figures guide you, I think.
Yes. Yes, I also
Okay,
believe that
good
let the
one.
figures guide you because, like, sometimes us people we just like come up with just figures just like that, like
Hmm?
just come up with like costs just like that. So, like, the spreadsheet that you gave us help us like to like calculate it, like calculate the cost of like transfer cost, the bond, you know, because like sometimes we just like let me just go offer 900 and then I know that my profit will come back, but no, but the market value says another thing, you know.
With you.
Yes, so yes, I, I just believe that just keep on working on your numbers, just work on your numbers until that you get the property that's right for you, like like maybe your criteria is like 15%, on like that and that. So yes, I believe in that.
Mm.
Yes.
Cool stuff, Renee. What do you think of what your colleagues have shared?
I do agree with both of them, and obviously running the numbers takes the emotion out of it. But yeah, you still have to the numbers on paper, but the person that you are speaking to is also another human being like you.
With
So
you.
it's not a piece of paper where an inanimate object that you are dealing with.
With
So
you.
Mm.
maybe, don't worry, I'll work on it. Because yes, I do run the numbers, and obviously, like I said, I won't even attempt to put an offer in if the numbers don't work out for me. So I just move on. Maybe I should do something like that where if I see it doesn't work, but I think the place is ideal for an accommodation, a student accommodation, I should actually just go in extremely low or work out a number that is good for me and go in with that number and see what comes back.
With you.
I wouldn't lose either way,
Okay.
I'll try that.
That's pretty, I reckon that's pretty sound advice from your colleagues. One of the
Mm,
things that I learned on what to do now and then, I still do get that feeling, because that feeling is not only, I believe, limited to property. That feeling
for sure.
is across the board for me. And I found that the more I actually listened to like 10 minutes here and there of a negotiation YouTube video, and because my personality is confrontational, and sometimes I can be aggressive in my nature to go and get whatever it is that I'm looking for, right? I listen to people like Grant Cardone. Grant is just mad. He's just mad. Like, I don't know if you guys know Grant Cardone.
Yes, yes,
He's,
yes.
he's this loud type of vibe.
Yes.
That
I don't know.
loud type of vibe, if there's anything it's done for me, it's it's helped to quiet the noise in my head because he's loud. Okay. So I'm just sharing with you how I've navigated through this process. He's so loud that he makes my inside my head voice quiet. Okay. So now if somebody has to do that, there's some vibes he throws out. But there's those quiet moments that I just need some mental relaxation. Then I listen to Victor Antonio on YouTube, because he's, the YouTube videos, just like I keep mine, 10 to 15 minutes, because the attention span on YouTube is very low, because people go there and they indulge in everything that they want in their mind, right?
Yes.
So I'd found that there are some days, if like in the morning, I can't listen to Grant in the morning. Like, I'm not a morning person. Like, if you have to ask me, Jen, could we have a session at 8 o'clock? The Jen you know now is not the Jen you will meet at 8 o'clock. There is nothing succinct about me. I'm like, yes, very placid, because I'm not a morning person. Like, it takes me some time to wake up in the morning. I can do all the very task driven things in the morning. So if I'm in that sort of task driven mood, I listen to Victor Antonio. Hit it around 9 o'clock, and I've had coffee. That combination takes me from Victor Antonio to madness of Grant Cardone. You know, and I learned that when I started listening to people in the right space, I would start hearing and even implementing what they're saying very subconsciously in conversation. So my viewings are never in the morning. Like, I'd never do an early morning viewing. The earliest I've ever done is 10 o'clock, because there's no life before that. It's just not going to happen. So I already know that if I'm going to do a viewing at 10 o'clock, at 9 o'clock, I'm in the car driving around the neighborhood listening to Grant Cardone. And he's, it sounds like he's constantly fighting. So by the time I get to the estate agent, I'm so pumped up that it's like I'm tripping. I'm on a different sort of vibe. So I found that those different things help me. So what I'm wanting to encourage you through that story is to start finding the thing that is going to help you through. Who do you think you need to listen to before you get to speaking to a real estate agent? Is it a song? Like, if I am going to see a friend of mine that I haven't seen in a hot minute, I listen to "This Is My Fight" song, and then like it gives me like a nice vibe, right? And so by the time I get there, I'm in a kind of vibe. And I had found that small little things like that adjust my mood, but it also adjusts my confidence. So just like Kile said, you've run the numbers, and you know that you know that you know that you know. The numbers told you everything. And then I just get into that space. And that's why for this particular module, I thought, let me put this PDF that I'd written to share with you how I felt. What was my mindset like when I started, because I just thought to myself, yo, these cheeky offers are on another level. These people are going to tell me I'm mad. And I would tell myself that whole story. But the moment I changed my story, things popped differently for me. So, Renee, I hope that the perspective from the three of us has helped you in some sort of way plant a seed. So we can actually hear what the guys thought of the content and what their troubling points are as well.
Yeah, all three, your perspectives helped me a lot. I like that idea that you just spoke about now about listening to different, um, either music or somebody doing a TED talk in the background or whatever to tweak your mood. That I've never done, so I'm gonna try that one as well, and I
Yeah.
can see how it's gonna work as well.
Oh, you can see
Yeah,
it. No, that
I
is a
can
good
already
thing.
see. Yeah, because even when I drive to work or home from work, I never put on the music. Never. Not the radio, nothing. I'm always sitting in my own mind, in my own thoughts. It's so
Mm,
bad that I don't even see the people in the street. When you're driving home, it's subconscious.
mm,
You don't even have to be looking in the road. You already know the way. Your feet already know where you're going. The car
with
drives
you,
itself home. So I'm
with
in
you.
that space all the time, every day, in my head. So I need to get out of my head. Put on the music, just get out of my head and listen to the music. That let the music maybe hype me up into the mood that will help me um, put in a cheeky offer, for instance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or even when you're going to view the property, it was the funniest thing. I am one of the loudest
Yeah.
people
Yeah.
I know. I am one of when I come into a room, Vivek and I worked actually a long, long time ago together at a company. And at this particular company, they said, I know Jen is around here when I hear her before I see her. So, in every company that I've worked for before, this is the thing. Today, I had a coaching call, and one of my students had done the homework I told him to do, and I lost the plot. I was so excited, and TJ said, I think even the neighbors by now know you and your madness, that they even get excited. And I'd actually felt so dull the other day when I was going to have a conversation. And all I just did is I listened to 5 minutes of Grant. It literally alters my state of mind, my state of being. And sometimes Grant could just be talking nonsense, man. Like sometimes he rambles, and he's just a killer, because you'll say, look at my jet, guys, my what, and I'm not there for listening to his material stuff. I'm just there for his energy, because his energy alters my state. And I find that when I'm in an altered state, just like you said, Renee, I'm not in the as usual. So if I'm in the
Mm,
business as usual, I'm also probably telling myself that this is not possible. I'm also probably telling myself, the day that TJ said to me, I've just signed the offer to purchase of the 1,000 Rand deposit for the property. Do you know, the whole time I was just waiting to hear from him, was it accepted? I was listening to Grant Cardone, because I was getting hyped up, because I'm like, who is going to accept an offer to purchase with a deposit of 1,000 Rand? Like in my
mm,
sphere, it never happened. But just to prep myself up, and he called me, Jen, this is what Andrew said, and this is what I've just signed and whatever. I'm just waiting to hear from Jacques right now. And like I literally was just like, oh my gosh. But I knew if I had to stay in my own mind, I'm just gonna sit there and say, it's okay, baby, if it didn't go through. No, instead, when he called, he says, no, I'm just waiting to hear what Jacques says. I'm like, don't worry, guy. We've got this year. This is going to be the Guinness Book of Records. Ooh-ah-ha-ha, because of this altered state of mind. But nonetheless. um, Kile, maybe you would like to share in terms of today's content, when you had gone through the negotiations and networking module. I don't know if you got a chance to read the PDF. What were your thoughts around it? And maybe you want to start with maybe, yeah, whatever you're comfortable with.
So yes, 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 I did read the PDF,
Okay.
plus the video. I did watch the video, but like right after we're watching the video, like right away after watching the video, I just went back to property 24. Then I started looking for properties, and then I started viewing properties like the next day.
Okay.
The next day I started viewing properties. So I don't remember like most of the things in the PDF,
It's fine.
but yes,
To what you
yeah,
recall.
yes, yes. So yes, is what I learned from negotiating that I should not let the seller bully me. You know, like you know, sometimes sellers be like, you know, if this price is too low, you know, this thing is too low for that. So I was like, no, this is the offer, and this is the market value for your house. So yes, that's what I learned, that just go out there, negotiate, 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 and then just work on your numbers. Yes.
Cool stuff. Vivek, what would your feedback be? How did you go through the module? What is it that you learned? So maybe wanted to discuss this evening.
Yeah, on the negotiation, it's I've noticed that there's a lot of factors that you can consider, that you can negotiate on. Like, for example, if there's a crack in the wall, or the backyard there's a damaged wall, so you can negotiate on all of those factors to bring down the price, and you have to highlight it to the real estate agent and use that to your advantage to get a better deal out of this opportunity. Yeah, and then you had a PDF also. I hate conflict. I
Yes.
read that. Yeah, I read that one also. It was very nice, and a lot of what you said in the PDF, it relates to what you had in the video as well, and what you need to look out for also. That was very nice. So I hope when I go and view my first one, I remember all of these.
So it's not necessary that you're going to remember everything. This is why I always encourage, while we're going through this coaching, where you can, start viewing property, run the numbers subtly, even if you know it's not a deal, view it anyway, just so that you can get the wheels turning. And this is really what makes the theory part of the coaching and the advanced training come to life when you put it into practical. And putting that information out there, it was, if I can't share with you how I felt, if you see me as, oh well, she's got her things in order, and we can't connect from this is how I used to feel versus where I am now. And you know what was the funny thing though? I wanted to share with you guys. You know, when you go to a flea market or something like that, it felt easier to negotiate a 1 rand or a 2 rand off of bangles or chains or something like that than it did for a whole house. My mind was like,
That's
this is a small thing.
that's the absolute truth. That is the absolute truth. I tell you that I can go into a shop and I can speak to they said a consultant, a sales lady, and if I have to take something back that's damaged, I will insist that I don't want it. It doesn't matter what it is, how much it costs. I will insist that it gets credited back, no matter what they tell me. I will not let up. But when it comes to buying a house, why am I embarrassed? Why? I
It's
don't know.
bizarre,
So
isn't it?
maybe I should. I think it's because I don't even have an excuse.
It's for me, it was the price difference.
Maybe. Maybe.
For me, it was the price difference. I used to just think, oh my days, this is a whole property. It's a whole property. But eventually I
Maybe
started. Mhm.
I think it's more about you think you're cheating the person,
Mm.
out of his money, his or her money. Whereas with going to a shop, this is something that you bought with your money. And if it's damaged or whatever, it's your money that you are losing. So the mindset is different. Whereas going to buy a house, you feel that if you go in too low, you are cheating the person. And
With you.
maybe that is the mindset that you need to change, or that I need to change. That um, the person won't feel cheated if he knows what is wrong with his house and how much it would cost him to fix it up. Um, if he feels that his house is worth more, he can say no and move on. You know. So
Absolutely.
yeah, what is much easier for me though is building rapport, part of your model.
Cool.
That for
Yes.
me is so much easier. For
So
instance,
tell us
I've
more about
already
it.
got my. Say again.
I said share more about it.
Say that again, Jay.
No, I'm saying
Oh,
share more
okay.
about what is
So
easy for
I've
you
already
building
got
rapport.
my. What I wanted to say was that I've already got my very own bond originator. I don't care who the agent is or what agency I'm dealing with. I only have one woman that I deal with who does my goes to the banks for me.
Mm-hmm.
Out usually is agents have their own people, their own bond originators, and they would tell you, send me your details, I'll send it through. I said, no, I have my own lady. Fine,
Mm-hmm.
I'll send myself to her and I will let you know if I've been approved. So I've already got that lady. She's very, very good. A couple of agents start
Mm-hmm.
working on now this month or two. Really got somebody in PE Insight now. I want to pro deals. Will you give me a discount, etc., etc. So that's now my next step. That for me is very easy, because being friendly is easy. Speaking to people is easy. So that for me is the easy, but it's just the other side. I'll get there. So
You'll
yes,
get there.
making friends. Yeah, that for me, I can do that.
I hear you. Is it? But yeah, but like we shared, this is a journey where we're going to try and get from what we know ourselves to be
Mm,
to transforming to live up to what we know we've got the potential to be.
yeah.
So it's great going that you recognize, those different aspects about you.
Hmm.
And like I shared, I put my heart into that particular document that I wrote there, just so that you guys also know. Like for me, I used to feel like, oh, is this really happening? Can this be happening? Like, what if somebody had to do this to me? I always went back to what if somebody had to do this to me until I had to get out of my mind. So I do trust that whatever nuggets we're sharing with each other this evening, that you are able to leverage from them. I'm wanting to find out in terms of networking, how many of you guys have been out networking prior to COVID? Because you would make me very worried if you're busy networking face to face right now. Prior to COVID, how many networking events have you been to, or have you been to any?
Me none, none.
Okay,
Yeah, also for me.
none. And yourself,
Me
Renee?
either. I haven't been to any networking events
Okay.
at all.
One of the things I would like to encourage you guys, especially post COVID, right? To meet people and attract people to you. We're going to have to do it differently now during COVID. But post COVID, when we're able to do so, right, and the vaccine is there, and we know that God forbid, if we had to get COVID, we'll still be okay. One of the places I found really good to go to was the SAPN events, which is SA Property Investors Network. There was other events that I used to go to, which is Epic. It's also a property investors network. And then there would be places like Toastmasters, like Kiyamo is a Toastmaster. And I would find that where there are a few corporate type of people in one space, that's where I would go literally. And when I introduce myself, I would say that I'm in property and I find property investing opportunities for investors or those that are interested in property. And that started a very different sort of conversation. Now, for me, it became double barreled, right? In the beginning, I was just looking for investors. When I saw a networking event, it was about investors. However, at a later time, the more I went up and I pitched my deals, because you also could have that opportunity to go to the front and say, I've got a deal. There's return on investment is 17.5%, and wada, and you've got 60 seconds to say this stuff, right? And then I would then say, if you're interested and you have got 1 million, for example, meet me during the break. And then I would literally point to where I'd be standing. And so during the break of those investment networking sessions, I would then meet like 10, 15 people. And then I would just say, you know what, guys, those that are interested, this is where the deal is. This is how much money you have. If you are interested, let's talk so that I can sign a non-disclosure agreement with you. And then I can share with you the numbers and the data that goes with it. And that's where I would attract a lot of my investors. And I think to a large degree, I want to say that the SAPN networking space really got TJ and I noticed because we were there. Very seldom would people actually know me and TJ are married. Actually, it was a shock for most people. And then sometimes somebody would say, but you've got the same last name. I'm like, yeah, he's my husband. What do you mean? And they would notice that during these events, we never sat together. He was about his business. I was about my business. So something I want to encourage you is that even online, if there's some sort of networking, something where you know you're going to dial in, it would be interesting to just pop in and see what those networking events are. The second thing I want to highlight is that I know that social media, not for everybody, is the same, right? Vivek and I had a conversation. Renee, you were in my wholesaling class, so you know much of what I'm going to be sharing now as well. The other way I attract investors to me was it used to be on Facebook. Because while I was also in the front attracting people to me, and I would be talking about I've got this deal, the return on the investment, I also started attracting people that wanted to do sourcing just like I was doing. And that's actually why I started teaching in property education, because I used to get this demand like, but I want to do what you're doing. Then I'm like, no, I'm not teaching it. You go to school somewhere else. And I used to refer everyone everywhere else. And they're like, no, I want you to teach this. So at one stage, I used to talk about being bullied into doing property education, but I needed to do it in a versatile way that I know that this doesn't take up a lot of my time, but I also give the best part of myself. This was all done because I was present in networking events. Now, the other thing I want to show you this evening, for example, let me just move. I've got so many tabs open here, it's not even funny. One of the things that I do on Facebook, as you would see it, I'm just logging into Facebook now. One of the things that I do on Facebook, this could go for LinkedIn, this could go for whichever, what do you call this? whichever social media platform. Some people express their lives in pictures, others express their lives in, on Facebook. What I've done is, like on Facebook, this was my birthday banner. You can go to a free service like Canva. Canva's free and it's paid, so you can still have it free. You can log into canva.co.za, register. When you get into Canva, you can create, if you are interested in Facebook, you can create a Facebook cover. If you are an Instagram person, Instagram, you can, all these different templates. If you are LinkedIn, you can say LinkedIn, and it's going to show you all the different LinkedIn stuff, right? So what I want to show you very quickly, like it's as quick as this, right? For me, I want to create a new Facebook cover. One of the things that I do know that I've got coming very soon is a property investing course. I can go and choose, like you've got templates. You can decide, okay, I'm going to choose this template. And in this template, you can go in and then start creating whatever it is, right? I can literally delete that picture. You can upload your own pictures. So in here, you'll see all the pictures that I've uploaded before. You can actually say, okay, let me go and get this one, right? Because this one proves, or rather shares the point. Let me delete what was there. You can literally go and whatever it is that you want to do. And it's something simple that you can dress up and do, and go onto Facebook and create your Facebook wall or your Facebook cover page. Now, what I found is, for a long time, I used to also still use Facebook to post and then share about what I was doing at that point in property. So, for example, with you guys being where you are right now, you can say, I'm on this property coaching course, and the insights that I learned today was 1, 2, 3. Is there anyone else that feels the same way here on Facebook, right? And you can share that. Like, I mean, I now have a few mummy posts in between my own stuff, right? Hope asked me if she's going to get bangles on her teeth. And I was wondering, what bangles is she talking about? She meant braces. But in between that, I've got you see, TJ sometimes also shares his stories and he tags me in them. And then there's other time, Renee, there's Christmas lunch. My guys were busy with Christmas lunch. But then in between this, you will find that I will post a YouTube video. And then I will tell a little story about this particular YouTube video. And there could be activity in and around this. Now, why I share with you about social media is, whether you're on LinkedIn, let's go into LinkedIn, whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, or wherever it is, and you sharing about what you are doing at that given time, you will find people that are curious enough about you. All right. And then they're going to start asking questions about you. And one of the things we noted is that when we were in the classroom doing our training, that's where we met a lot of people that we do business with today. Okay. And in today's world, some of our, oh, okay, there's some verification I need to do. Okay. Goes to show I've been on LinkedIn on my phone quite a bit. For example, I mean, this wasn't the best graphic, but I was in a rush and I just thought, let me just put it up there. I'd gone into Canva, and this is the stuff that I've done. From this change cover, I got, on Sunday alone, I got like 6 or 8 messages on LinkedIn. And I barely go on LinkedIn. I only really go on LinkedIn when I'm sharing YouTube links or something like that. And then I realized just still sharing those YouTube links, people are now interested in what it is that I'm doing. And there is a lead into training that I got from LinkedIn. So sometimes when we use things like social media, it literally helps us elevate to where we're wanting to go. And then the next question that often comes with when I'm on social media, now what? I usually talk about the thing that I'm going through at that time. So if I say, today on a coaching session, one of my students made me proud. Instead of seeing 2 properties, he saw 10 properties. And that sets people apart that actually wants to get ahead in property investing, because oftentimes we fear the worst. But once we get past that fear, we're able to overcome, or something like that, right? If I have to now share something like that, that will attract a lot more people to me. Why? Because of what I'm talking about in my current space. Now, I wanting to find out from you guys where you are now in social media, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, or whichever platform. Would you consider using it a little bit to share about what you're currently doing to attract people that are in property, so that your journey is also not so lonely? Would you consider something like that?
Yes, I would. Because I can see that TJ and like all of them, like Leroy, and they use like social media to market their businesses, and like to market their properties that they want like people to come and crowdfund with. Yes, so yes, I would use like Facebook and Twitter and all those social media apps. Yes, I would use it. Definitely.
So one of the things I want to encourage you, Kile, is this. When you're using social media, when you talk about where you are and how you felt about where you are, you're going to start attracting people in the same spaces where you are, or potentially people that already see you as ahead of them. And amongst all of those people, you may just attract somebody that says, I've been looking at your profile and I like what you do. And then they may want to pair up with you in some deal of sorts, especially because you're into sourcing, right? You're into crowdfunding. How would you then shape your journey on social media to attract people to you?
Can you please repeat that? Sorry, can you
So,
please
so I'm
repeat that?
asking, how do you think right now you would attract? Yes, there's advertising, right? But how
Yes.
would you attract? How would you, where you are, attract somebody to you? How do you think you could try doing something?
I think by marketing and like giving out flyers, like no posters, like giving people flyers, like so guys, is this what I do? Is what I do? So can you please like sometimes around like here like around my area here like sometimes I see like flyers. Let's say we buy properties, just properties, like no matter how the condition is, we buy properties, and then like people go to those people like every day. There's like 10 new people, 10 new people that want to sell their properties. So yes, I think I'll giving out flyers and that. Yes.
So before you even go and spend money on flyers, what do you think you'd say on Facebook if you had to post a post now?
I don't know. I don't know what would I
I know I'm
say
kind
right
of
now.
putting you on the spot, but
Mm,
this is what I'm wanting you guys to try. And it doesn't have to be perfect, because nobody knows that what you're doing on Facebook is trying to
mm,
attract people within property, right? All they
yes.
know is you posting because it's your social media,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes, yes. What would I post?
From my side, I can create a story like I'm busy learning a new skills on property investing, and then you can I don't know, use those icon that you showed me, the last time, that goes into that algorithm of Facebook, so that it can suggest people that are in the same kind of environment or pool, and it can start suggesting those people to you, and you can start connecting with those people.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what I'd like to do is give you guys a challenge before next week's session. Post whatever it is that comes to your mind around property. However, the one thing I don't want you to post is, I'm looking for business. Post what you already know about property. Because the moment you start looking for business, people invariably stay away from those posts. I don't know why it works that way, but people tend to stay away from such posts. I've seen that so often. It's like insane.
Oh, okay.
So when you are trying to attract somebody on Facebook, that's what I'm saying, talk about where you are. Or maybe mention, I've just finished running numbers and I can't believe that this is going to be such a good return on investment. Does anyone else do property out there? But the moment you advertise a business proposal, and you advertise this is how much money you could make by doing 1, 2, 3,
they run.
you'll find that that post is not going to get attention.
Yes,
But
because sorry,
no,
sorry for that.
continue.
Yes, because like sometimes like a lot of people do scams on Facebook. Like a lot of people are like scamming people. So like most of the people, like they run away when they see such posts like it's coming work with us, bringing how much, and then so like people get scared when they see the numbers, like, yo, this guy will scam me so much money, 1 million rand. That's too much, so like so yes, some people run away when they see the numbers.
Exactly. So what you want to do, and I mean, especially like, for example, if you are interested in doing any sourcing, wholesaling, you
Yes.
want to create a measure of ease with people, but you want to be talking about your education. And I'll tell you why. There was 2 investors. They're still investing in our deals today. And I mean, we met them 4 years ago. Okay. What they liked was that we were talking about the excitement of our education. What they liked is that we are finding the right way to invest in property. According to him, it was the right way. Okay. And when he was excited about that, he found this is the conversation he wants to have with us. And then he'll ask, so why do you think those numbers make sense? And the moment he got comfort that we understood numbers, then he says, I'd like to go into a deal with you guys. Sometimes somebody is looking at you as a conduit. Sometimes you'll find others are looking at you to leverage your skill. But the moment you start talking about you want to join in this particular, or I've got a deal that has got X, Y, and Z, and you're saying that for the first time in your profile, they don't even know you've been in property. They don't even know you've got education. And sometimes you'll even find there'll be somebody on your profile who's interested in getting started in property. They started their journey, but they're feeling lonely. That happens so much. I cannot express to you guys how often that happens, which is why I incorporate these things into my training. I incorporate it into my training because I know how many times people actually feel relieved when it's like, oh, thank heavens I just met you, because I was losing my mind thinking I'm the only person out here. And then you think to yourself, but what do you mean? We've been doing this. Why would you be the only person out here? And then you start listening to what they've got to say. Kile, it sounds like you've posted somewhere that you were able to respond that way.
Respond which way?
When you were saying, yeah, people run away and they think it's a scam.
Yes. Yes, I have posted some like they on Facebook. Then like people were like, this feels too good to be true, my guy. So this is a scam, like so I was like, oh guys, this is not a scam, this is a real thing. With Facebook, what I noticed with Facebook that there's a lot of scams on Facebook, you know. There's a lot of scams on Facebook about money and that and that. So like it's people run away from Facebook mostly. People run away from Facebook.
They run away from the content in Facebook.
Oh.
Which is why I'm sharing with you. And again, you don't have to use Facebook. You don't have to use LinkedIn. But something that I can encourage you is that when you are using social media, if you talk about your now and you're not talking about a business deal or anything to do with money, you tend to attract people that are interested in what you're doing. Why do you think I now could use Facebook as a platform where I put things up organically talking about my cause? The reason I can do that is that at the end of the day, I've seen how people have come to me quite often to say, you teach about something realistic that's on the ground that I can see. And when I'm teaching, I'm not, in a suit and tie and all of those things. I'm just easily accessible to the next person on the street. And the next person, all they want to actually see is that part of you. They want to see the parts of you that is like, oh, okay, I can connect with this person. That's all they want to see is that part of you. So this is why, again, I want to encourage you that at the end of the day, when you're posting anywhere on social media, when you're posting, just understand what it is that you're posting. But the moment you start posting about a job, about a deal, people don't understand your language yet. People just think like, okay, whatever, like, what are you dealing? Can I tell you guys a side note? So, many of us want to have more than one income stream, right? So like currently we've got property. Recently we started in Bitcoin, and then I do online marketing, right? So there's a number of different income streams that we get money from. And TJ said, I think I'm scared to talk much about Bitcoin online because Bitcoin feels like you're gambling. And I asked him why. He says between November and now, one of the platforms he put $100 into, he put it in on November 20th, thereabouts, right? And day before yesterday evening, he says, babe, it's not even 60 days yet. My $100 has made $153. So I've got $153 right now instead of just $100. How would we explain the logic to anyone that is interested in Bitcoin? And then he says, I can now see why people would think Bitcoin is a scam. So it's like going online to say, put in $100, 6 weeks later, you're going to get $150 back. Somebody's going to look at you and think, it's Satan, not you.
Yes.
Which platform are you guys using?
He used CoinDesk. He used Funnelment, but Funnelment is associated to MTI, and recently MTI has closed down. Yeah. So I'm like, you know what, my guy, I let me still be online, because I've got 2 or 3 small gigs online where I literally work 2 days a month for a company, and I do some SEO data for them, and then I get 10,000 rand, and I'm like, okay, cool. I'm okay with that, because it's a skill I can see. You know what I mean?
That's good money.
Exactly. So I'm like, it's a skill I can see. I don't know if I'm ready for Bitcoin yet. I'm like, he says to me, no, we are in Bitcoin in this house. What do you mean you're not ready yet? I said, I don't know how I'd be able to explain it. How would I explain that to somebody? Like how? Like how? You know?
It's difficult.
And
I dabble in Bitcoin as well. I don't have much. I try to keep a couple of $100 in my account. I used to be with a company that I'm talking now 2016, 2017. And that was one of the times that I was scammed. I had a couple of thousand in there and the company just closed down. I moved on from that. And I had a wallet, a Luna wallet, and I've been keeping some Bitcoin in there. Not with a company, it's my own thing. Um, it does go up and down, as the months go on, but I don't even look at it. I just leave it there. Maybe one day I'll go back into my account just to see where I am now. I've also busy with Forex. Don't ask me how did I get into that, but yeah. And then, then I'll also trade some Bitcoin over there. But that one's very, very high risk. So I think I've lost more than I made. But
I
yeah,
hear you.
I don't have an issue. So yeah, I also try everything, anything that makes money.
Fair enough. So my main point around what we're sharing this evening is that this is where I find that if I'm going to be talking about something, I must talk about something believable. Okay? Because
And you need to understand the content as well before you can
yes,
explain the content to somebody else.
correct. And I
Yeah.
mean, do you know how long it took us to actually repeat that we put a deposit of 1,000 Rand on a property? Because we knew factually Andrew, Jen, TJ, and Jacques, and our joint venture partner are the only 5 people on earth that has seen the document. And for a long time, I was afraid to actually share about some of my stuff that I'd done in property. Why? Because I just thought for the next person to believe this, I used to worry. And that's why I use social media platforms the way I do. I actually ask myself, you know what is it that am I in now? And then I remind myself, okay, this is what I'm in. Okay, there's no problem. I'll get to grips of 1, 2, 3. But there are some days I'm like, I am not going to talk about nothing. Like I'm not going to talk about nothing until I can actually just show a piece of paper somewhere. And this is why I say when you are online, be very mindful of what you post. So it's easy to talk about where you are, or it's easy to say this is what has happened, but it's not easy to say get 18% return on investment by doing 1, 2, 3. People will look at you and think, you're mad, because they don't know what you know. So that's just really cautioning with you guys in terms of sharing on what you're going to be sharing online, should you choose to go that particular route, more especially if you're looking for a joint venture partner or you're looking for an investor because you're sourcing deals. Just be very mindful what you're posting. Cool. So I want to find out, as we come to a close for the session this evening, I just want to find out from you guys in terms of all the things. Yes, Vivek.
If you want to explain like a group of friends what you are doing, obviously they will come up with a lot of questions that right now I can't answer to them. So what's the best way like to explain them so that I can start like creating that awareness in my immediate environment?
You can, for example, one of the things you could leverage is to say, I am currently learning. This is what I've learned so far. And when you talk about this is what you've learned so far, when they do ask a question, then you'll say, oh, maybe I didn't give it a thought, or I'm going to ask my coach. I'm going to ask my coach, what does she think, right? What you could potentially if you choose to, in your environment, some of the guys that know me, they know me from Rubric, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then if you say, remember Jen from Rubric, this is what she does. And then just send them through to the free training. I've got a 3-hour free training, which gives quite a broad overview before people even buy into the one-day training like you attended. And
Mm-hmm.
I find that when you've got resources like that, and you say that you're currently learning, they start saying, oh, so what did you learn today? So if you tell them, oh, no, I had a coaching session last night, we were talking about negotiating and networking. And then they say, okay, so what did you learn about there? Then you talk to them about what you learned. And that's how we found we got to talking to people that hadn't gone through our journey in the same way. But what we found is still 6 out of 10 people didn't follow what we spoke of because their mind wasn't there in property. And for those people that ask a lot of questions and they get technical, then you just say, I'm in the learning process.
Yeah. So one of the reason why I want to do that as well, because someone might know someone which is money rich, so they can introduce me to that person. So then that's one of the way as well that I've thought of, like, to attract investors.
Which is awesome. Definitely an awesome way. There's a few people that from Standard Bank, I had helped through the process. When they said to me, I want you to be my partner, I'm like, no, I want you to go and learn something first. Because I found at that time I was wearing a hat where some people would say, but you know it, so it should be right. Then I'd ask them, no, you do your due diligence. And I literally helped a lot of people along the way how to do it while I was doing some of the joint ventures with them. So when you carry somebody in a journey with you, you tell them property is not you just know it like this. And then if you want to remind them, remember before we started doing software testing, before we were even in automation, didn't we have to learn how to do things manually with test cases? How boring was that? Now we do automation, like,
Yeah.
and it needs to click with some people. And when you take what you've journeyed with people, if you've journeyed something like that with them, and you make that comparison, people start then understanding, oh, okay, I'm with you now. Oh, I understand this now. Oh, I understand that now. But you remind them it's a journey. It's not just done like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool, no problem. But does it make sense to you what I've explained?
Yeah. Yes, it does. Yes.
Cool stuff. Cool stuff. Any other questions, guys?
No, I don't have any questions.
Cool stuff. So I'm gonna then
Nothing
call it.
from my side, Jen.
No problem at all. Then I'm gonna call it an evening for us for today. Next week, Wednesday, we're doing something called suspensive conditions. Say again. Oh, okay. So next week, Wednesday, the 20th of Jan, we're going to be doing something called suspensive conditions. So what I'd like you guys so far just to think about the content that you've gone through. Usually we find a deal, we run numbers. When we run numbers, we want to double check whether it's going to give us cash flow or not. And when we're confident that our numbers are looking good, we're going to put in an offer. So we're going to go through the offer to purchase. Okay, there's going to be some homework. So I look forward to next week, Wednesday, when you bring your homework, listen to the video, do your homework, and let's see what we can do to put that homework together for next week, Wednesday. Cool stuff. So if you guys are all good with that,
Good. Yeah.
fortunately on Zoom, on Zoom, there's reactions. So whether you throw up a thumb or something like that, then at least I know it will be all good. So yeah. So on you guys would have already had that particular module released to you. And so go through that module, look at some of the offer to purchases that you find and all the questions that you've got around offer to purchase. Let us dissect that in next week, because that is the document that either helps you get a property deal or helps you get into a lot of trouble if you don't know that document. Cool stuff. So if we don't have any questions, I want to say thank you guys for your time this evening. I shall see you guys next week, Wednesday at 7:15.
Yes, okay.
Good
Thank you.
night, everybody.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Bye.
Time, Jen.
Bye.
Cheers, guys.